Hello everyone, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy here to talk about highly sensitive person dating, 4 really important lessons I've learned over my 38 years of being in the dating scene. Not like I was dating when I was a baby, but you know how it is. So subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week about what it is like to be a highly sensitive person and awesome tricks, tips, and tools. And stay tuned to the end of this video because the most important lesson I am going to be revealing at the very end. So make sure you stick around for that one because it is kind of earth-shattering. It'll help you break away from a narcissist if that's what you're experiencing right now. So let's get started. Who am I? I'm Jess. I am an emotion coach and a former veteran firefighter. And yeah, this is my channel, Emotional Fire Academy. Welcome. So my first piece of advice, being a serial monogamist and now being in a very healthy relationship with another HSP guy, my advice is, number 1, stay off the dating apps. So dating apps are, I have tried just about every one of them. And as a highly sensitive person, it just kind of tore me apart using them. So the thing you have to remember is that with the dating app, you get what's called the paradox of choice. Now, this was a book written by Barry Schwartz, and he talks about, essentially the gist of the book is when you have too many options, it creates a problem for you. It creates a lot of psychological stress. It creates a lot of worrying about, am I making the best decision? Because there are so many choices. And I think this is what is really perpetuated on dating apps, is that there are so many people and so many dating apps, and that you're not really doing yourself a favor. It's kind of an inefficient way to date. And this is what I've experienced. And I also want to kind of talk about one of the concepts in the book that he talks about. 2 types of decision makers. One is the maximizer, and one is the satisficer. So maximizers, and of which I am, if you are a highly sensitive person who has used perfectionism as a coping mechanism, which I have in the past, maximizers tend to deliberate about making the best possible choice, right? We want to make the best selection of a mate, the best guy to date, the best girl to date. And so that's also the majority of the people that are on dating apps are maximizers, right? They're always looking for the best one, just keep swiping until Mr. Perfect comes along, or Mrs. Perfect. And it's kind of an illusion. And what Barry found in his research was that maximizers tend to be less happy with their decisions because they're always worried about, like, what if I haven't made the absolute best choice? And because in reality, maximizing is unrealistic and typically impossible in everyday life, that maximizers often feel regretful after they've made their choice. And this kind of mentality is really pervasive in dating apps, right? And so it causes this very throwaway kind of response. If somebody doesn't say something you like, you throw them away, you get rid of them. Like, swipe next person, next. And ultimately, you either don't make a decision, or you come across someone you really like and then they throw you away. And so I think this is really hard for highly sensitive people because we are so emotionally connected that this sense of disconnection is torturous for us and really burns us out on dating. It's not fun, it's work. So my first and foremost piece of advice, besides number 4, is stay off the dating apps. This is not the best way for highly sensitive people to connect with a really healthy and good partner for them. And it just kind of creates more stress, which highly sensitive people don't need in their lives. I didn't need in my So So I would lean towards, if you're staying off the dating apps, okay, what do we do instead? So my second piece of advice is second and third, become a regular somewhere, right? And with COVID, it's kind of hard right now to be a regular anywhere because we have to, we can't really go out. We have to wear masks. So as this dissipates, becoming a regular somewhere is important because meeting someone in person, attraction and familiarity are really actually closely linked. Studies have found that the more familiar someone is, the more attractive they become. And so this is a great psychological tool to use to your advantage. So if you, commit to being a regular somewhere, it's hard. It's hard in these days of, being able to blow off meetups and, just being kind of casual about things, but really committing to being a regular somewhere. I like the gym because it benefits me. I like being there. I like working out and getting stronger and feeling healthy. And so being around like-minded people there is fantastic. Other places, church, school, even like going to a coffee shop at a certain time each week. My aunt met someone that way. She always went to Starbucks at the same time every week and like worked on her laptop. Being a regular increases your chances of becoming familiar to someone and therefore attractive to them, and then opening up a line of conversation. And that is a great tool to actually meet someone. And maybe this is common sense to you. If it is, great. You're farther along in your dating journey than you might think. So when COVID passes, get back out there, commit to being a regular somewhere, and become familiar and get to know somebody. Also, so my third piece of advice, so one was stay off the dating apps, 2 was become a regular somewhere, and then 3 is get your whole body involved as fast as possible when you're first meeting someone. I'm not saying jump into bed with them immediately. What I'm saying is you are a finely tuned machine, right? Your senses take in so much more than other people's. And so use all of your senses, not just visual. And this is kind of why I say stay away from the dating apps, because the dating apps are just a visual medium, right? We're just swiping basing on our sensory input of sight. I want you to get all of your senses involved. Smell, taste, touch, sound. Take it all in. You want to meet this person as fast as possible and use those senses. Use your sensory acuity to your advantage. And the one that's kind of underrepresented here is smell. So again, studies have shown that our sense of smell as humans, we don't give a lot of credit to it, but it actually has so much information. So within, a few minutes of meeting someone, just their smell, we can tell subconsciously on a genetic level if they're compatible for us, right? And I tried to find a specific study that talked about this, and it seems to be the consensus is that they're similar to us genetically, just enough that we're not inbreeding, but different enough that we're complementing each other. So it's this really delicious animalistic mix of information that you're not even processing on a conscious level. And that's going to come through in the quality of the relationship too. And so using these senses to filter out people, it's more of filtering out, okay, this person is not a match for me. Like they do not smell good to me. They do not sound good. Like something about them is just irking me. Like for the highly sensitive person, all those things got to line up. All those lights got to line up, like ding, 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 ding. And so getting your body involved as quickly as possible when meeting people is an excellent way to filter, right? And using these senses that aren't taking conscious energy, that, subconsciously you're just going to know yes or no, right? These are evolved senses that we're not putting into use when we're dating. And I say go for it. Go use these senses and put them into, you're going to know it. You're just going to know it in your gut. As to whether, this person is a good match, I'm attracted to them, or just like the stop sign, like no more. So, so use that machinery you have as a highly sensitive person. So my suggestion, taking these first 3 points I said, I think a great thing to do in dating is to go to speed dating. I think speed dating is kind of the combination of the first three things that kind of encapsulates, these quick little 5-minute dates. Typically, speed dating is you pay anywhere from $20 to $30. You get approximately anywhere from 8 to 20 dates in the night, depending on how large the company you're working with is. And so you get professional people. You get, because the cost is a little bit higher, and it eliminates that paradox of choice, right? All you have to do is talk to someone for 5 minutes, smell them, take them in, hear the words they're using, and you'll gather enough information in that 5 minutes to be like, yes or no. And so that I've had the most success with speed dating. That's how I met my current guy now. And there's just something about having that element of seeing someone in person, getting to talk to them, and then eliminating the paradox of choice, because all you need to decide in the course of a night is, the handful of people that you're meeting, and be like, yes or no. And so I really think that for highly sensitive people is an excellent tool for dating. And it's a little more investment, like I said, than just subscribing to a dating app. But because of that, I think people are more willing to really, when they do make their selection at the end of the night, they are a little bit more invested and be like, okay, I met this person once, and I'm really interested in seeing them again and following up. I found that the follow-up rate is much, much higher than with the dating apps. And so, speed dating is awesome, and it's kind of fun. It's just unusual enough to talk to a bunch of people and to have the structure that it feels really safe. It's a really safe container of like, okay, like I'm going to talk to these guys. I know I'm not going to get stuck talking to someone who's just going to blab at me for 2 hours, and my people pleasing is going to prevent me from telling them, oh gosh, I'm not feeling it for you. So I think speed dating is awesome. And I've seen a lot of people make connections, and I myself have made some pretty good connections, even friendships that have come out of, the person sitting next to me, the girl sitting next to me, striking up conversation with her, and then hanging out afterwards. So I think speed dating is kind of the highly sensitive person's secret weapon to dating successfully in today's world. So my fourth piece of advice, okay, this is the meat here, is starting off with healthy patterns in your dating life. So I want to talk really quickly, and let me show you my little diagram here. You know how I love diagrams. We're talking about relational dynamics. So making sure that, like, we always want things to be equal. This is us, this is the other person, and the positions that we subconsciously are going to put them in. Okay, and so making sure that as you start dating, you are keeping healthy relational dynamics, right? Ideally, we want it all to be equal. We want to feel equal to the other person. We want our needs and desires to be as equal of importance as theirs. And so this is really about power. This is about power dynamics. And when we aren't mindful of this is when we get set up for narcissistic relationships, hero complexes where we're trying to save the other person. So this is not only something we're mindful of ourselves, but also how we're perceiving the other person and the power that we're giving them. And so as highly sensitive people, we do a lot of people pleasing. We often, because many of us are empathic as well, and we want to make the other person happy, and we kind of sometimes lose ourselves. I lose myself. That was something I had to overcome. And so being mindful of relational dynamics is a good way while you're dating to make sure that you set yourself up for a healthy relationship so that you don't get stuck with the narcissist. And so if you find yourself, if you're not equal with this person on a subconscious level, right, this is how you're perceiving them. If you are putting them above, if you're putting them above you, this is ripe ground for a narcissistic abuse situation, right? Because if you're giving them a position of power above you, you're going to let them get away with, kind of treating you poorly, right? And if you see yourself as less than them. If you see yourself as more than them, that again is, expecting them to pay for everything, expecting them to come to you all the time. Again, this is an unhealthy dynamic in relationships. So, and this realization, when I learned this, this is straight out of neurolinguistic programming. And when I learned this, I realized that I was like, oh my gosh, I was putting this guy up on a pedestal and I was letting him dictate my happiness, and I actually started to take responsibility for what was happening, right? When I recognized that, like, oh my gosh, I'm putting him up here. So when we start to perceive ourselves and the other person in these dynamics, this is when we have problems with unhealthiness in relationships. So again, like, this could be an example of like blaming the other person for your problems all the time, making them the bad guy, and then what are you? You're like the hero, like you can do no wrong. That's unhealthy too. We both have to take equal responsibility in the relationship for the problems, for the successes, and that is just what a healthy relationship looks like. So, those 4, quick recap, my 4 pieces of dating advice for highly sensitive people: stay off the dating apps, become a regular somewhere, get your whole body involved, use that sense of smell to sniff out potential matches. And number 4, keep that playing field nice and even when you're relating to someone and dating someone, so that you set yourself up for a healthy and not a toxic relationship. So what do you think of this? Is this good advice? Have you learned any of this yourself? Do you have any other tips? Drop them below the video in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. And if you are a highly sensitive person who is unhappy with your love life, unhappy in a relationship where the power is imbalanced, contact me. I have a 2-hour live workshop where we can literally extinguish the fires in your relationship and identify some great resources so you can bring that power back in balance and be happier and more fulfilled. So, emotionalfireacademy.com. Feel free to check that out and, schedule a 2-hour live workshop with me, and have a wonderful day, everyone, and go out and have fun in all of your dates. Bye.